Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Wednesday, February the 1st, 2023. Where did January go? We're continuing our look at last week's gospel, which came from the 6th chapter of Matthew. The bulk of it had to do with practicing our piety and not doing it, not showing off, not kind of play acting or being what Jesus called a hypocrite, which means to pretend. But at the very end of that reading, verses 19, 20, and 21, you really get into something that means a lot and also is probably difficult for a lot of people to think and talk about, and pastors as well in the church. Verse 19 says this: "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal." Obviously, he's talking here about focusing on this life, this world, the things of this life, the things that we can accumulate and save and so forth. Stories told about a man who was walking along the California beach deep in prayer when all of a sudden he said aloud, "Lord, grant me one wish." Well, the sky clouded over and a booming voice said, "Because you've tried to be faithful, I will grant you one wish." And the man said, "Build me a bridge to Hawaii so I can drive over anytime I want to." And the Lord answered, "Your request is very materialistic. Think of the logistics of that kind of undertaking, the supports required to reach the bottom of the Pacific, the concrete and steel it would take. I can do it, but it's hard for me to justify your desire for worldly things. Take a little more time to think of another wish, a wish you think would honor and glorify me." Well, the man thought about it for a long time, and finally he said, "Lord, I wish that I could understand women. I want to know what they feel inside, what they're thinking about when they give me the silent treatment, why they cry, and what they mean when they say nothing, and how I can make a woman truly happy." And after a few minutes, God said, "So how many lanes do you want on that bridge?" Kind of a silly story, but a reminder about how so often our initial inclination is for materialistic kinds of things. What are our priorities in life? Some years ago, because of all the tornadoes in the area, a developer in Tulsa, Oklahoma offered an optional tornado safe room in the new homes that he was selling. 9 of the first 10 buyers opted to pay the extra $2,500 for the room, which can also be used as a closet, bathroom, or a vault when not needed for safety. The 10th couple, the developer said, were 75 years old, and they opted instead for a hot tub instead of the room. Obviously, their priorities were different. Given their age, they were not so much concerned about prolonging their lives all much longer. They just wanted to live the rest of their lives in comfort. And again, what are our priorities? What treasures are we amassing and storing up here on earth? And it's very interesting to look at, we see the wealthy people of our own day, the Bill Gates and the Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musks and the like. 100 years ago or whatever, there was the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and so forth. It's interesting to see what some of them finally said about money. Rockefeller, for instance, said, "I made many millions, but they have brought me no happiness." The care of $200 million is enough to kill anyone. There's no pleasure in it. W.H. Vanderbilt. "I am the most miserable man on earth." John Jacob Astor. "I was happier when doing a mechanic's job." Henry Ford. "Millionaires seldom smile." Andrew Carnegie. And maybe one of the saddest stories is about a fellow by the name of John G. Wendell and his sisters. Although they had received a huge inheritance from their parents, they chose to spend very little of it, even on themselves, and they did all that they could to keep their wealth for themselves. John was able to influence 5 of his 6 sisters never to marry, and they lived together in the same house in New York City for over 50 years. When the last sister died in 1931, her estate was valued at more than $100 million. Now, again, this is 1931. This is the depths of the Depression. And $100 million it's a lot now, but Can you imagine what that really represented then? Her only dress was one that she had made herself, and she had worn it for 25 years. The Wendells had such a compulsion to hold on to their possessions that they lived like paupers. Even worse, they were like the kind of person that Jesus referred to, who lays up treasures for himself and is not rich toward God. Do not store up treasures for yourselves on earth, Jesus warned. Unfortunately, that's a real temptation. And some of the people who have the most treasures, that are blessed with the most treasures, do the most and work the hardest to store them up. But what about you or I, even with the modest treasures that we've been given? Do we store them up for ourselves, or are we willing to use them for another purpose? We'll be talking more about that in the next few days. Till then, take care. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.